Dear Dhamma friends, we are going to have the day's talk, day's Dhamma talk. May everyone settle down for the talk and give the consent with 3 times sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Anyata kanananda adhyassa vineye anuttara Indriya Bhavana hoti. Dear Dhamma friends, whenever we are having a residential retreat like this or full-time retreat, we always must facilitate this time with all the possible ways in order to gain the maximum results we desire. The Buddha himself says that we must always be with precepts that is called Silanugrahita, facilitate with your morality. That is why we undertook 8 precepts. That is our datum line, our bare minimum. And then we have to listen to Dhamma. We have to listen to the teaching of the Buddha, or listen to the due instructions in order to facilitate our mindfulness for the retreat. So that is why we have allocated this time for the listening to the Dhamma. And together with that, we have to have a discussion or interview so that we can share our the experience and then can understand whether the communication took place regarding the instructions as well as the experiences. So this is the way we are facilitating. With all these, we have to still practice concentration as well as the wisdom. Therefore, there are 5 ways we have to facilitate our present state of mindfulness or stream of consciousness. Then only we can expect the desired results. Accordingly, we have this 1 hour allocated for listening. After listening or after considering the request, we selected this Indriya Bhavana Sutta, the discourse known as the development of faculties that appear in the middle length sayings or Majjhima Nikaya in Pali. In Majjhima Nikaya, there are 152 discourses. This particular one appears like the last discourse. Very interesting one. And that interest and the touch of the discourse is maximum for the practitioners rather than just mere listeners. So we being practitioners, if we are going to listen this particular sutta, we help promote our mindfulness as well as our retreat. So therefore we will get that maximum benefit by listening to this kind of a discourse. And the presentation, what I am going to do, also more towards the practical side rather than the scholastic or bookish knowledge. So I really try to make use the experience we have already got and how to help promote them by regular practice of sitting and walking and day-to-day activities, together with this kind of listening. To go back to the practical situation, over the history, how it develops up to this particular sutta, it was time where the Buddha's contemporary time, there won't be much of a clashes among the different sects or different kind of teachings. This event also took place under such circumstances. One day, a disciple of another teacher visited the Buddha. And once he came back and he paid the due respect to the Buddha, the noble one, and to accommodate the person, the Buddha asked, in your dispensation or in your discipline, does your teacher also teach kind of development of faculties or restraint towards the development of faculties? He was so happy that Buddha is asking kind of answerable question. He says, affirmative answer, yes, sir. Our teacher also teaches a discipline, or how to develop our faculties and what must be our discipline. Then the Buddha says, I am quite interested in listening to your teacher's instructions. Therefore, if you don't mind, please share with us. And that is how the discussion starts. Then he says, my teacher is known Parasarya. I am a disciple of him. He says, as far as practitioners are concerned, as far as people appreciating this restraint is concerned, better not to look at visual objects. Better not to listen sounds. Better not to entertain smelling, tasting and touching. Better not to entertain daydreaming, fantasizing and bewilderment of the mind. So that must be the discipline of a practitioner, meditator. The immediate answer, or we can say the sarcastic answer the Buddha gave was, if that is the case, the person born blind will be utterly developed because he can't see visual objects. And the person is deaf, he can't hear, he also will be in the best of the disciplined person towards the sounds. Likewise, the Buddha give his remarks, and ultimately the Uttara, the person came, namely the Uttara, he accepted the way he presented the development of faculties or restraint towards the development of faculties. If that is the case, not only you are closing your eyes, you are born blind, much better. Not only you are entertaining sounds, but you are deaf by birth, you are better off. Equally, smelling, tasting, touching, if you are deprived of that or paralyzed, much better than restraining. It may appear like a gift for mentally retarded. Then the Buddha make a remark to Venerable Ananda, who is attending at that time. Ananda, this is the way the Parasarya, the teacher, is teaching his disciple Uttara, not to look at visual objects, not to listen to sounds, and smelling, tasting, touching, and not to think. But that is a different way in this noble dispensation, or noble one's discipline, the supreme way of development of faculties. Now, it is a chance for Venerable Ananda to get that method the way, the teaching from the Buddha. Now we are listening after 2600 years later. Had that Ananda not requested the Buddha, that chance would have gone. But luckily, Venerable Ananda, adjusting his robe, go and pay respect to the Buddha 3 times. Please, Bhante, teach the noble one's discipline, how one must develop the faculties in the supreme way. So we must be very thankful to Venerable Ananda, because he made that request so that the Buddha came out with the answer, the desired answer to the Buddha, and after 5-6 synods, Sanghayana, our early lineage of teachers bear them by heart, generation to generation, without changing the words of the Buddha, brought back up to our level. Now we have printed books, we have all the kind of ways to reproduce the teaching of the Buddha. We fix it as canon, the 3 baskets. So this particular sutta comes under the, what you call Sutta Pitaka, the basket of discourses, and categorized as the middle and sayings. That is the way in the first synod itself, 500 Arahants, nobles, categorized them. So by looking at the outlook of this categorization, the later, specifically the contemporary kind of level of scholars, they say if you wish to learn the restraint of discipline or morality or precepts, Sila Sikha, you better read the long discourses, Digha Nikaya. If you wish to develop concentration, Samadhi Sikha, or discipline pertaining to the calmness, better to read Majjhima Nikaya. There are a lot of suttas, 152 suttas, medium level, basically addressing to the development of the concentration or restraint pertaining to concentration. And Anguttara Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, concise teaching and that enumerated form of presentation, you have very short suttas, and it is addressing more towards deep Dhamma, that is to say, restraint pertaining to wisdom, Panyasika. And Kuddaka Nikaya goes still deeper. So if you are studying, if you are scholastically, or if you are going with the book knowledge, some people put that under these categories. Digha Nikaya is for the Sila, Majjhima Nikaya, middle saying, is for the concentration, and the rest, short suttas, are basically to wisdom in a broad way of categorization. So this is a kind of a particular sutta we arrived at, is leading to or showing the path towards the restraint, towards the concentration. So with that kind of a background, or with that kind of a introduction, now we can proceed further. How can we relate this kind of a teaching to our walking meditation, to our sitting meditation, to our day-to-day activities, or mindfulness toward the day-to-day activities, and then it will be help promote our meditation, our mindfulness, and it is leading to the desired goal of concentration, specifically with particular sutta. So we'll just we'll proceed according to the teaching of the Buddha, after the due respectful imitation of Venerable Ananda, when the Buddha says, Chakuna Rupan Diswa Uppajjati Manapang, Uppajjati Amanapang, Uppajjati Manapa Manapa. This is supposing when you are walking, as we discussed in our question and answer session, you know what is your primary object. You know your pivotal point, your benchmark. Whenever you are walking, you try to keep attention or the mindfulness with your soul. Whenever it is touched with the ground, how do you feel and how many steps you can continue to keep the touch and be aware. So it's a difficult task like tightrope walking. Whenever you are losing the balance, you know you are dropping. So likewise, when you are trying to walk from one end to the other, maybe with noting, this is my right leg, this is my left leg, right, left. How many steps? We can continuously note and be aware. So whenever a newcomer comes to this kind of a practice, he or she utterly get discouraged. Not a single yogi, single beginner can be happy and contented with his or her first effort, first endeavor. Everyone is unhappy. They think, whenever I take precepts, whenever I come to a center like this, whenever I do full-time meditation, residential retreat, definitely I must have the ability to walk from this to the other end with due noting, with due mindfulness. That is the way you start. But never, no one will be happy to see how much our mind is wandering. Because the eyes are open, ears are open, visual objects are filled with a lot of noise and sounds, and all the other senses are working, and stimulus or bombarding signs or signals are there. So how to keep this neutral object? How to keep this a repetitive object? How to keep this object which we get free of charge? It is less dramatic. Instead, visual objects and sounds and thoughts and all the kind of things, they are very dramatic and will take it for you for a ride. For this experience, everyone think as one due to everyone would think it is my mistake, it is due to my lack of mindfulness. Maybe I am not a virtuous person. Maybe my precepts are broken. Maybe I have a bad karmic forces. Or maybe I have selected in the wrong time or wrong place. So that is why mind is so much wandering, daydreaming and fantasizing. So therefore no one can report as and when it happens and report as it is. Everyone becomes discouraged and depressed. So their writing is like a confession, a charge sheet, a complaint. I can't keep my the in-breath and out-breath, left leg and the right leg due to this and that and this and that, so much of a list. So that is exactly the thing the Buddha is taking, but here in this particular sutta itself, we have to assume this is happening while you are trying to be mindful. Maybe in sitting or maybe in walking or maybe in day-to-day activity. That part is not given as such in the discourse. Instead, the Buddha says, Chakuna Rupan Disa Uppajjati Manapam, Uppajjati Mamanapam, Uppajjati Manapamanapam. Whenever a visual object comes and strike against your sensitivity of your eye, agreeability can happen. You may think, oh, very beautiful thing, very interesting thing. And I see it due to my good eyes. I see it because of my good luck. And otherwise, there may be a disagreeable thing. You see and it is unauspicious. You consider it as a bad karma. It is a bad omen, and therefore you become disagreeable. And there are some things, agreeable and disagreeable is 50-50. They are called agreeable as well as disagreeable. So these are the only three possibilities for anyone who is mindful. So the example the Buddha given is very natural. When you try to keep the mindfulness in left leg and right leg, that we put within brackets. And suppose you are going to see a visual object. Soon visual object happens, it becomes an object because of its agreeability and the disagreeability. So now your mind is made up with a challenge. In one side, your neutral object is there, equanimous object is there, that is left leg and the right leg. But instead, very dramatic, very eventful, impromptu, visual object happens. Now, untrained mind, uninstructed mind, naturally goes to the visual object, leaving aside that neutral object, equanimous object. That means our mind is always chasing behind defilements, asking for trouble. If you are given with so much of options, most defiling thing, most dramatic thing, most extreme thing is the one mind is usually selecting. So that means always pulling us to the nether world, apaya, for defilements, because it is not happy with the neutral object, it is not happy with the equanimous object, always going to go to attractive, eventful object. Supposing the parents wanted to discipline their children, and then parent can say, whenever you are given with this kind of two options, please go to neutral object, please go to the undefiled object, that must be betterment for your future. And if the child is going to try and come back and ask from the parents, are you mother, are you father also doing the same thing? Can you do it? Never. Between child and the father, both are in the same boat. Teacher and the disciple, both are in the same boat. Doctor and the patient are in the same boat. The ruler and the subject in the country in the same boat. Virtually, no one is having such executive powers to tell other one, please don't go for defilements, please don't go for dramatic things, and instead try to be with the neutral object. Even the Buddha is not asking to do us. He is just analyzing the situation and see, your mind is the worst thing in the world, pulling you into the hell, pulling you to the negative, pulling you to the defiled part, dramatic part, eventful part. And that is how the media is. This is how the advertisements are in the world. This is how the books are in the world. This is how the teledramas in the world. This is how the films in the world. Everything is pulling to the more dramatic, action-packed, wider screen. So we call it is very technically advanced, and well-directed, good films, which is pulling you as much as away from the neutral object. So whenever you associate with the world through your faculties, Indriyas, that is the program thing, that is the normal trait. And no one knows. We think if we can give that kind of lot of dramatic things to our children, we are happy. We think we are rich. And if the teachers can give so much of dramatic things and make students amused, they consider as the good teachers. And this is the world is running. This is the way Nobel Prizes are given. This is the way the Magsaysay Prizes are given. The people can amuse others more and more, get more and more prizes. So it is directly come from the hell. Amidst of that kind of a situation, if an innocent yogi honestly wish to see the situation, can he or she observe this phenomena and report unbiasedly as it is? Never. We always think what is happened is something wrong, I must not report it like that, because this may be due to my lack of sila or precepts, or may be because of lack of my mindfulness, or maybe my bad karmic forces, or maybe I started meditation in the wrong place or wrong time. I better to go wait till the next Buddha to come, Buddha the Metteyya to come, and at that time it will be little easier than this. So therefore better to postpone rather than take it as a challenge now. This is the normal Buddhist thinking. But when we are proceeding to furtherance, we can understand how rational the Buddha is, how neutral the situation is. Still it is hopeful. Still it is not too late. But we have to proceed with due understanding. We have to proceed with practical situation, pragmatic situation, rather than assuming, rather than asking for shortcuts. Asking shortcut is an excuse. And don't think that I am inferior. Don't think that I will get a better chance next time. So this is the untrained mind. In order to not to fall in those potholes, we have to listen to Dhamma. So this is, the Buddha is telling us, Chakuna Rupan Disa Uppajjati Manapam, Uppajjati Amanapam, Uppajjati Manapamanapam. Whenever you happen to see a visual object, it is natural to have agreeability, disagreeability, or both. Neutral, agreeable, disagreeable. And when that happens, you are no more looking at the visual object, you are regurgitating, you are ruminating, you are daydreaming, you are storytelling, you are fabricating upon what you have seen. You are not directly touched with the visual object. So exactly the same picture is going with the hearings. While you are trying to keep the attention with your primary object, so to say, in-breath and out-breath, you may hear beautiful bird sound, or aeroplane, or some other thing. And immediately mind selects that particular object instead of your assigned primary object. And whenever you are to see, whenever you are to experience it, can you see this as it is and report as it is? If it is so, you are not too late. If it is so, so much of opportunities to be corrected. But instead, I think what happens is we get regret, discouraged, and we give up meditation, thinking it is my mistake, it's my inferiority. But when you are going to a common discussion in the open interviews, it's each and everyone or majority going to report their own reports, experience. We have to look each one's face and see we all are in the same boat. In 1977-78, I used to go to Nilambe as a young boy, undergraduate, and used to sit with a lot of foreigners. Not a single Sri Lankan came there. And when I go there, I can't speak English. Even I listen, my language is fairly poor, even though I am studying in English medium. So it gave a lot of benefits. One thing is how the foreigners are thinking when they try to be mindful, and how to put that into English language, and when put into English language, what is the difference between single presentation, Pali presentation and the English presentation? So it's utterly beginner's mind. I never raised any question, I never took part in the discussion because I think I am inferior, because I have to get a lot from them. So after 1 or 2 years, like, not regularly, but whenever I go there, I found exactly my question they are asking. They are also in the same boat. Whatever may be, it's a foreigner, maybe a scholar, maybe a male, female, ordained, non-ordained, exactly the question. No one knows how to articulate it. No one knows how to put into the discussion, because we are twisting the truth, bending the truth. And we are in utter difficult situation because we camouflage it. So I am better off because I never talk it. I never try to present it because I shut my mouth up and listen. But the situation is the same. It was a somewhat happy thing for me, even though I could not understand proper English, presentation and listening, exactly the same question. Everyone. I never expected. I thought Sutta philosophers are big ones. They are better off than us. Nothing. Exactly the same. But lucky enough, they are happy to express than myself. So it was a utter gain for me to see whenever you are really going to be here and now, no one will be happy. Everyone think I am perfect, I must do this and this is my primary object, this is what I should do. But whenever you are putting forth your effort, utterly discouraged. Because more than seeing something, more than looking something, you are worrying about the already seen thing, camouflage with agreeability and disagreeability. Camouflage with the liking and disliking. Then onward, you are no more looking, you are just an interpreter. You are giving commentaries. The team is playing the cricket, but the commentator is lying to the country. That is what happened in the radio. Players don't care about their commentaries, but the observer or listener, imagine only the radio, you can't see, then you have to depend on the commentator. Commentator is the person going to get money. So our commentary is in the mind. It appears like a free of charge. It's giving a free service, not utterly camouflaging because of the agreeability and disagreeability. because of the liking and disliking. And we never trace it, we never see the crucial part of that. So therefore, ultimately, if you are going to listen someone, he is talking, but he is thinking rather than what he has seen. Because it is always mixed up with its commentarial way. So we imagine I am trying to keep left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg. And as far as it is with the walking meditation, I have a fair kind of happiness. My mindfulness is continuous. And immediately we comes to know, I have seen something and I am observing. I have heard something, I am listening and I am contemplating. And when that happens, why this mind is leaving this neutral, equanimous object and entangled with this kind of a dramatic, defileful thing? Is this my agenda? Have I given any consent for that kind of a thing? Is it any volitional support came from me? No, I am very innocent. But whenever two things happens, naturally mind selects more defiled thing, more dramatic thing, more storytelling, more fabrication. So that much we don't know if we are not mindful. If you are mindful and appoint to a single primary object, the neutral object, and the equanimous object, then only you can see how much your mind is cheating, how much mind is perverted, how much mind is attracted to the defilement. It is waiting till something defileful object happens and jump it and entertain it, storytelling, fabrication, and then come and placard the defileful object, despite your equanimous object, despite neglecting your neutral object. So, appointing a neutral object, appointing this equanimous object is what you call kammatthana bhavana, or mindful meditation. Without datum line, we don't know how much our mind is eccentric, how much our mind is off balance, how much our mind is taken away from the agreeability and disagreeability. Imagine when we are not meditating, we don't know mindfulness, and when we are running a family, or when we are running a business, or when we are running an office, what kind of thinking, what kind of fabrication, what kind of eccentric way it is happening. No way one can put into a paper, put into a system, unless otherwise you appoint a neutral object, otherwise you appoint equanimous object, unless otherwise you appoint repetitive object, unless otherwise you appoint freely given object, that is our body, our posture, and when compared to that only, we can see wandering mind, we can see daydreaming, we can see fantasizing, we can see hearing, we can see anything. So don't consider they are as impediments, they are as troubles, or they are as against you. Of course, they are the one, if you are really heard about the teaching of the Buddha, if you have put into the correct perspective to see how much vulnerable our mind is when it is not mindful. Even though you put forth all your effort and benevolent and innocent energy to keep it in the primary object, without any early signs, it jumps into the other part. Jump and entertaining and storytelling, keep on practicing on the defileful area. And whenever you see it, you regret because you take the responsibility of going out. You fail to understand it is going out by its own right, not with your will, not with your volition, Because of lack of that knowledge, whenever the mistake happens, you regret. Whenever the mistake happens, you claim as if you have done. So how much time will it take you, yourself to understand it is none of my business. That is the dirty game of the mind. It's the perverted nature of the mind. Is it worth to call that my mind? That such a dirty mind? It has its own agenda. So far I was not aware. Now when I come to know, is it matter to be regret or is it something benevolent or it's an endowment or gift of your meditation. Because your simple effort, because of your innocent effort only you can understand how cussed the mind is, how perverted the mind is, how cheating the mind is. So therefore, how much time will it take you to understand? Main thing is not to worry. Don't claim that wandering mind as my mind, daydreaming mind as my mind. This is the nature of the mind. So, how much theory knowledge you need, how much self-sympathy you need, how much trial and error and repetitive application you need to understand this. So, this can happen through sounds, this can happen through smell, taste, touch and everything. As far as you have the datum line, as far as you have the central, as far as you have the equanimity, equanimous object, as far as you have neutral object, you know how much mind is vulnerable. Just like you are burning an oil lamp and keep it outdoor, how much cross currents are going to give a wavering shape, wavering movements to the flame, it never upright, always moving, always moving. But when there is no cross currents, naturally, the flame is upright. So whenever the mind is with the neutral object, equanimous object, mind is upright. Whenever it is going to the defiled object, it is eccentric. It is cheating. It is creating unwanted karmic forces. So therefore, how much you must behave like a scientist to see your own mind without a judgment, without reacting it. This is the nature. This is the nature. So who can help you at your deathbed? What will come in front of you? You may be a meritorious person, you may be a virtuous person, Samaritan, but at the deathbed, what will happen? What will be the cross-section? And what will be our reaction? And what will be the synthesizing? Unpredictable. So in mindful walking, you are rehearsing the death-like thing. You are rehearsing a challengeful situation, but you go prepared. It can be with the primary object, it can be with the secondary object, it can be with disagreeability or agreeability. Don't claim anything as mine or me or myself. Just keep on practicing. When you are practicing, one day you may understand, now I am more with agreeable and disagreeable rather than with the neutral object, rather than with the equanimity. The agreeability and disagreeability is a gate crasher. It's a newcomer. It is a stranger. So my assigned duty is to be with the neutral object. My assigned duty is to be with the equanimity. How nice and how sublime, how peaceful at the equanimous object. With the neutral object, so the Buddha give you a rule of thumb. Whenever you are given with that agreeable, disagreeable object and the neutral object or equanimous object, agreeability, disagreeability make agitation, difficulties, stirring the mind and get engaged in storytelling. Whenever come to the neutral object, whenever come to the equanimous object, mind is calm and serene. and it is with etang santang, etang panidang. Mind is very calm, sublime, and equanimous. So this is the nature of the mind. But so far in our life, we have trained it to have more dramatic thing, more agreeable thing, more disagreeable thing. How much time will it take to appreciate this neutral object, to appreciate this equanimous object? So that's a kind of a facilitating or giving a chance. Let the mind to play hell, let the mind to send kites, and observe it and see how often you can bring it back to the neutral object, to the equanimous object. For that the Buddha says, the arising agreeability and disagreeability is sankatan, olarikam, paticcasamuppanna. That arising of agreeability and disagreeability it is impromptu, it happens. It's conditioned one. You can't predict. Whether sight happens or hearing happens or smelling happens, you can't think. It's conditioned. Sankata. Olarikam. Soon your attention from the leg to the eye, changing happens. That is very gross. Your attention must be with the sensitivity of your leg. But without prior notice, it jumps into the eye as sensitivity or ear sensitivity. That change, Buddha is giving us a clue. It is gross. The changing of the channel is gross. And it happens due to dependent origination. Mind is naturally going to more dramatic thing. Don't claim as yours. This is the mind nature. This is called the nature of the mind or law of the nature. Are you ready to understand with your lifestyle and your experience the law of the nature, or try to behave you like a Samaritan, I am disciplinarian, and not to see the truth but to whitewash your ego, whitewash your conceit, whitewash your dirty desire? This is what happens, unless otherwise you become innocent, unless otherwise you become straightforward. That innocence and the straightforwardness is still with us. It is not only with children and the younger generation, even with us, but when we are living in the society, we are not promoting and facilitating this innocence and the straightforwardness. Instead, we are cheating our way of life. So therefore, the day you understand, when you are met up with visual object and sound, so thought, smelling, tasting, touching, how my mind is working, it is completely dependent origination. It's completely conditioned. But the change is very gross. So can scientists find a method for that? Or can someone help others dangerous situation? No one can do it. Whatever the merits you would have accumulated so far, irrelevant to this critical situation. You have to learn it only through one single system, trial and error. Let it happen again and again, be aware. Again, let it happen again and again, be aware. Then you can understand the gross change from the sensitivity of the leg to the sensitivity of the eye. Changing the track from the body to eye, body to ear, body to nose, body to taste. So it is happening so swiftly. That's the way mind is working. So any scientist, utterly, sinfully, very sorry, they are extrovert. Science is utterly wrong because it is extrovert. But the same methodology, same tactic, you can use it but internalizing. Then you are that is called noble quest. Arya Pariyesana, not the normal Pariyesana. Normal pariyesana means extrovert pariyesana. Utter nonsense, utter wastage of time, utter eccentric. But we can't throw it away completely because the methodology is correct. You have to take it inwardly, and when and where mind is threatened with the visual object and sounds, how the mind is working. How unpredictable, under the unpredictable situation, how the mind is working, no one can help you. No any subject matter can help you. Whether you are a physicist or chemist or biologist or whatever the specialization, cannot. But you have to be very simple, very honest, and observe it 1001 times. Each and every time it is conditioned. Each and every time it is gross change. Each and every time it is dependent origination. So that is the result of Buddha's experimenting. So he gives us the clue. Darling, whenever changing it from the leg to the eye is conditioned. You can't predict. It is gross, changing the channel from here to there. You have to be aware. And it's happening with the law of dependent origination. Not with your wish, not with your will, not due to your volition. So only thing you can be is to be a neutral observer. And are you ready next time, and next time, and next time more and more your readiness, preparedness make you very humble, make you very straightforward, because it is never too late. You can't expect Metta, the Buddha, to come and help you. You can't expect your mother and father to come and help you. You can't expect your physics master or chemistry master to come and help you. Never. Even the Buddha cannot help his own beloved son, the Prince Rahula or monk Rahul. He has to assimilate his own way. Buddha is just give the method, few tactics. First, you have to give a point, a neutral object or benchmark or pivotal point, and try to keep the mind in this in-breath and out-breath, or rising and falling, or in the left leg and right leg. There may be certain amount of success. Never up to your satisfaction, sure. But with that success, when you go there, you may see 1001 times mind is jumping out for seeing, hearing, smelling, touching. Each and every time, unpredictably it is conditioned. Whenever the mind becomes alert, easily you can say the track changes from the leg to the eye, or nostril to the nose. Whenever that happens, if you can track it, note it without a delay, you can nip it at the bud level. If you let it grow, you will be lot of storytelling, fabricating, and depressed, and inferiority, everything can happen. So this is the nature of the mind. So when you keep on practicing, one day you will understand the leg, left leg, right leg never give agreeability and disagreeability. They are neutral objects. The breath never give agreeability and disagreeability, liking and disliking. They are neutral objects. Rising and falling never give likings and dislikings. They are neutral objects. So our mind hating that kind of objects. They are always going for very tasty, dramatic, colorful, eventful things. And that is what we are doing by technology. That is what we are doing by active life. That's why we are searching all the time. Not only we expect that to happen, we give it as an endowment to your children, as a gift to your parents, gift to your teachers, more and more dramatic things. So this is the physical world, physical gift and physical thing we can share. But it is going to give more and more defilements and more eccentric way of life. So whenever you are not mindful, you are in a dream. Whenever you are mindful, you understand, in night you have night dreams, in day you have daydreams. This world is American. 100% dream. 100% dream. Because they consider mindfulness is as a very neutral, very equanimous, boring, monotonous, fearful, sleepy, not tasty. So that is why we people, those who are practicing, we have to put forward our experience and tell directly. Whenever I understand mind is with visual object, I feel something wrong somewhere, and what must I do? Let the mind to decide. Are you happy with its condition, gross, dependent origination, or to come back to your neutral primary object? The Buddha gave a hint. The neutral object is etan santang etan panitan yadidam upekha. It is peaceful, it is blissful, and it is neutral. So how much time will it take for these dramatic things to neutral thing? That is what you call the restraint. Don't try to do it. Just let the mind to understand the situation. Before going to a inference or decision, have a lot of observation. Or we can say the observations. See it again and again. Each and every time it is conditioned. Each and every time it is gross. Each and every time it is dependent orientation. Each and every time you bring it back to your primary object, this is sublime. It's peaceful. It's neutral. So you get 1,001 time or trillions of time within a day, within an hour of walking meditation, within an hour of sitting meditation, rather than complaining, making inferior comments. Let's face the next time. With the primary object, how quickly you can bring back to the primary object. How quickly mind will understand this is santai, that peaceful, this panitang is blissful, and this is neutral. So it is up to you. No one is punish you, or no one will give a gift by doing this and that. So whenever happening, there's a kind of a accumulation, kind of a personality, kind of a skillfulness appear. It is painfully so. The accumulation is painfully so, but there is no other way. The one and the only way, so you have to do it. You can't outsource it. You can't ask your servant to do it. You can't ask your expert to do it. You can't ask the paid labor or anything to do. So we are in a noble work. I would like to expand this further. What will happen whenever you develop the skillness and become a disciple. Once you discipline, how this trend is going to happen, the Buddha is giving on behalf of the beginner, how the skilled yogi's mind going to work as the mind evolves. And once you reach the end, once you become fully noble person, arahant, how the mind is working. So today we took time from the unmindful situation to the beginner's mind situation. It's very dramatic, but disadvantageous to the beginner. But anyway, we are not going to give up. We will keep on practicing, and so that one day we can advance into the next stage. So early part is full, burning lot of fuel. Path is very slow, painfully slow. Don't consider this as your weakness. This is the nature of the situation. So therefore get encouraged and continue. Don't throw away your experience. Don't throw away your mistakes. Please keep note and share with us in the discussion tomorrow also. Then naturally it will encourage our meditation and mindfulness. With that remark, I would like to sum up the day's talk. Thank you very much for listening.